1875. Karl Marx is living in London, aging and physically exhausted. But suddenly, he receives a draft document from Germany that makes his blood boil. He picks up his pen and tears it to the shreds, not with the calm academic review, but with what he called the critique of Gotha Programme. It wasn't just a petty argument between socialists, it was a movement. Marx finally laid out his blueprint how a society actually moves from capitalism to communalism. Today, we are diving into why Marx thought his own followers were theoretical idiots and what he actually meant by from each according to his ability to each according to his needs. To understand the critique, you have to understand the drama. The two German parties were merging, the Essenchers, who were supposed to be Marxist, and the Leslians, followers of Ferdinand Leslie. Marx hated Leslie's idea. Why? Because Leslie believed the working class could achieve socialism by working with the existing state, even the Prussian monarchy. He wanted state-aided cooperatives. Marx saw this as a servile belief of the state. When the Essentials sent Marx the draft for the unified party, he realized they had compromised on almost every core principle just to get a deal done. He wrote the critic as a tool you showed to his friends. Like it was not a book. So they like wearing them like they were trading revolutionary truth for the cheap political unity. The first sentence of the Gotha Programme said, "Labor is the source of all wealth and cultures." And Marx responses, "Labor is not the source of all wealth." This sounds shocking coming from the father of socialism, but Marx argued that nature is just as much a source. By ignoring nature and saying only labor matters, the program was using a bourgeoisie's face. If you say labor is the only source, you ignore the fact that the ruling class owns the natural condition for laborers, the land, the raw materials. Marx wanted to emphasize that without owning the means of production, the land and the factory, the workers is just a slave to the person who owns nature. Sound reasonable? Like the Gotha program demanded that workers get the undiminished proceeds of the labor. Marx called this a vague nonsense. Like he pointed out that the society, like any society, even communalism, you have to deduct funds for the replacing worn out machinery, like expanding production. Like there are so many factors like school, healthcare, and care for those who cannot work. And you can't have undiminished pay. Society has to reinvest in itself. Society has to reinvest in itself first. This is the most famous part of the text. Like the Marx explains that a new society doesn't emerge perfect. It comes out of the womb of capitalism, stained by the old world. In this day, you get back exactly what you put in. If you work 6 hours, you get a certificate for 6 hours of social labor, which you exchange for good. The flow. This is equal right, but Marx says equal right is actually unequal right. Why? Because one worker is stronger. Let me give you an example. One worker is stronger or has a 3 kids, but another is single. Giving them the same pay for the same work actually makes their life unequal. Marx argues that only after the enslaving subordination of the individual to the decision of labor vanishes and the productive force have increased and can we cross the narrow horizon of bourgeoisie, from each according to his ability to each according to his needs. This wasn't a suggestion for a government policy. It was a description of a society so productive and so free from class that works become lifeline want rather than a or. And the Goth program called for a free state. Marx responses was quite brutal. He argued that state isn't a neutral tool; it is an organ of class rule. He asked what transformations will the state undergo in communist society, between capitalist and the communist socially, capitalist and the communist society lies in a political transition period in which the state can be nothing but the revolutionary dictatorship of the proletariat. Marx wasn't calling for a democracy in the modern sense of single tyrant. He meant the working class as a whole hold the power to prevent the old running class from sabotaging the new society. He mocked the Gotha program and for asking for universal suffrage and primary education from the Persian state, calling it as a democracy, democratic latency, and that was already common in America or Switzerland, but didn't touch the root of like the capitalist power. Like Marx never wanted this critique to be published. He sent it as a private letter. It was only 15 years later that Friedrich Engels released it to the public to stop German party from sliding further into reformism. Like critique of Gotha Programme remains essential because it reminds us that the Marx wasn't a utopian dreamer. He was called hard realist who knew that building a new world would be messy, complicated, and full of defects. Like next time you hear someone talk fair distribution, remarks like remember Marx grumpy notes from 1875. Like he would tell you, don't look for fairness in a broken system. Build a new one where fairness is no longer a legal struggle but a human reality. Like that was it. Thank you. And if you want, I think.